All right, now for our program, Wendell Willis, Managing Director of Freighter Health and the Milwaukee Bucks, will introduce our speaker. Wendell.
Thanks, President Karen. Good morning and Happy New Year, fellow Rotarians. So the great thing about working for two companies is that you have twice as many great colleagues to work with, and I'll be introducing you one today. Michael Belot, as Karen mentioned, serves as Senior Vice President of Bucks Ventures and Development. And in this role, Michael has been developing and implements their strategic strategy around real estate and business growth objectives for the Bucks, focusing primarily on the 30-acre entertainment parcel we all know and love as the Deer District. Before joining the Bucks, Michael was the general manager of hospitality development, clubs, and golf majors for Destination Kohler. And during his tenure at Kohler Company, he managed several aspects of the Kohler experience, highlighted by the American Club and the 4 Kohler Water Spas. Along with the private clubs Riverbend, Sports Core, and River Wildlife, he was a pretty busy guy. He also was involved in the development of Lodge Kohler, located in the Green Bay Packers Titletown District. In this role, it included serving as the vice chairman for the 2015 PGA Championship and the 2020 Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits. And then prior to joining Kohler, he was the director of the 2012 Ryder Cup at Medina Country Club in Chicago, an event that won Event of the Year and Best Professional Single Sports Event at the Sports Travel Awards. He's also served as tournament director for the 2006 and 2009 PGA Championships. Michael's additional sports industry experience includes the Greater Milwaukee Open, the University of Minnesota, the 2001 Final Four, and service in a variety of roles at 6 Super Bowls. He has a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota and an MBA from the University of St. Thomas Opus College of Business. Please welcome to the podium, Michael Belot.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just signing into my computer so I can see the presentation. So today what I want to talk to everyone about is, one, talk about what it takes to not only build a championship organization and how we got there on the court, but what we're doing off the court. And primarily everything that I work on really is off the court, as Wendell mentioned, whether it's Deer District, our food and beverage, retail, parking and other really duties, I guess, as assigned. But first, I want to get everybody, now that we've had a nice little break here, give you a little bit of energy, take you back to the summer of 2021 and what it felt like to win that championship, and also what it felt like in the Deer District. So. And so definitely the best summer of my life for sure, and one of the few times, as you know, in a lot of things you may want to round up for business objectives, or how revenue actually finished, or how many people were at an event. I'll tell you, the Deer District, that's the one thing that we actually probably round down or try to take down just a notch as to how many people were actually outside at the Deer District. It was a legitimate 75, 80,000 people celebrating outside the arena once we had the championship going on inside. But you don't get there easily, and I want to just touch base quickly on our guiding principles for the organization, and really our culture. I think is what makes us special and unique. And certainly highlighted by our president, Peter Fagan. And I'll buzz through these pretty quick, but I think it's really, really important. And some of them are very basic, and some maybe not as much, but that we live by every single day. So first is really be present or don't show up. Peter will tell you if you're going to come into a meeting and be coasting through and really not paying attention, really not engaged, then he doesn't want you in the meeting, and that'll absolutely come up, and he'll mention that if he sees that, notices it, and that cascades down throughout the whole organization. Set ridiculously high standards. I think when the Bucks were purchased in 2014, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit, I think everybody thought it was probably crazy, while they maybe wouldn't say it out loud, that the goal proclaimed by owners certainly was to win a championship. I think everyone thought that, well, of course that's the goal, but that's not realistic. We'll just hope to be competitive. But really, if you don't have that vision, look where we are today. One thing that we do a lot better, and certainly from my background coming from Kohler and coming from PGA, is really measuring and using data and analytics to make decisions. I think probably in the last couple of years, it's continued to get better and better. We have a VP of strategy and analytics and review after every single game how our metrics are trending across food and beverage, retail, ticket sales, our dynamic pricing, all those sorts of things, and really for instance, every Tuesday we have now an operating committee meeting, which I'm part of, and we always talk about what's upcoming, what's back. Some things that you think are very basic, but for basketball teams, not always are they founded and reminded that this is truly a business. Include everyone. This is, I think, something that again sounds super basic, but boy, do we include everybody in the organization. And we are not a siloed vacuum organization. We're certainly people responsible for their individual businesses, their P&Ls, but we overshare. There are absolutely no secrets within our organization whatsoever, and everybody knows everything. Everyone's included, and if there's an idea that you have that's maybe outside of your day-to-day responsibilities, the culture and the encouragement to share that is so high, and it just creates really a great culture of innovation and ideation. Understand that culture happens with or without you. Peter will always say, this train's moving, and if you're either going to get on or you're going to get off, but if you're not on, it's going regardless. Make your words match your action. Don't just say things. Really activate. We have an incredibly high sense of urgency. Every game that passes is perishable inventory. Like when I used to work in the hotel business, every day that we didn't fill a hotel room, that was a hotel room that we can't now sell. So it's something that we are constantly looking every single day that we have this perishable inventory, and once it's gone, we have to activate. We have to have a high sense of urgency, and we have to move quickly. Really focus on face-to-face interaction, not social media, not texting, posting. While we do a ton of that, we also really have, especially since the pandemic, and it's so easy to just do something virtual, to really focus on meeting with people face-to-face. These last two, very basic, but very true. Don't be a jerk. Peter may use a different word around the office, but we'll say jerk here for this morning. And that is just incredibly important, because we're surrounded with great, kind people who want everyone to do well, who encourage everybody. And this isn't about you, it's about the greater good. And then just simply work your butt off. Work really hard. We're going to work unusual hours. We have unlimited PTO, but today I'm here this morning. I'll be at the game till 10 o'clock tonight, and that's great. I'm fortunate. I'm lucky to be able to do that. But we work hard. We have unusual hours, and that's okay. So does everybody. But to quickly to take you back to May of 2014, and just to level set you as to where this organization was at that time, we had the worst team, in the NBA. on the court. But we didn't even also just have the worst team on the court. We had the worst facilities. You know, the practice facility. Everyone tells the story at the old Cousins Center where the players would be going in and there'd be buckets sitting on the floor catching rainwater if it rained from the night before. I mean, if you visit now our practice facility, just unbelievable transformation. There was no organized performance staff. There was no HR department. One person overseeing all of marketing, just really kind of a shoestring operation. When you look at the bottom, I work in our merchandise and retail, and to be honest, I don't even know what $140,000 means, meaning no merchandise sales, if that's what we sold online, if that's what we sold in our pro shop. Whatever it is, right now, I can tell you that last year, we were a $15 million business. We do we'll do $100,000 per game. Right now during our Bucks games, and it's something that we finished the last couple of years in the top 5 in the entire NBA in merchandise sales, which is really quite remarkable. And when you see where we stack up against markets that we're beating, New York, Chicago, and just the sheer mass of their metropolitan area. So then when the owners came in and assessing the situation that I just mentioned and how desperate really it was, what were the things that they really focused on? One was the physical plant, improving the arena, improving the offices, really getting local buy-in from local owners, investors. And you'll see that we have about 30 minority owners in the Bucks that are influential business people that are vested in Milwaukee, vested in the success of the team, and have a significant business presence here, and didn't want to see the Bucks leave. And that I think was a very, very smart move by our ownership to have all these people engaged in really the success of the Milwaukee Bucks. Really improved our organizational structure, as I mentioned. Now we have an HR department. We have a massive marketing, one of the best in the league, and have improved our strategy, analytics, et cetera, et cetera. And then we've also rebranded everything. The logo that plays into our retail performance and everything I just mentioned and how we've been so successful there. So then the physical plant, when we talk about how did we physically improve our facilities, you see a Fiserv Forum there. So we used to have the second oldest arena. Now we have a $524 million, 5-year-old arena. We're entering our 5th season with pretty much half private, half public investment under budget, which is really phenomenal. And then the practice facility, our partnership with Freighter, top of the line, multiple courts, unbelievable offices, and amenities for our players, as good as it gets in the entire NBA. And our business offices used to be spread out across the city, not very visible. Now we're in Schlitz Park. We built our brand new office and really have improved that. So then this is the leadership of the Bucks organization. So I mentioned Peter, my boss, the president, on the business side. Then on the basketball side, you have John Horst, Coach Bud. And then Troy Flanagan oversees our sports science performance. And then our ownership to the left, our majority owners. From left to right, Mark Lasry, Jamie Dinan, Wes Edens, and Mike Fascitelli. Mike Fascitelli is the one that I work with the most on the real estate development side as I now start to talk about Deer District. So the thing that I spend the most amount of my time on, as mentioned, is really Deer District. And this is what, this shows a great visual of where the Deer District is. It's 30 acres in total. About 15, 16 of the acres have been developed. And to the left of that photo, you'll see I-43. So it really is phenomenal as far as the accessibility and proximity to I-43, really the major artery in entering into Milwaukee. And the Deer District, when we branded it that 5 years ago, this photo is a great picture of really the explosion and the notoriety. Prior to that, I think certainly it was gaining popularity. People were aware of the Deer District, but once we went into the finals, or certainly the playoff run in 2019, but then the finals in 2021, almost anybody who's an NBA fan, anyone who's a sports fan, certainly in Wisconsin, knows what the Deer District is, and it really just exploded upon the scene and showed us a true ability of what this could be. And I think the first time we got a taste of what this district could be was opening night at Fiserv Forum. The Bucks were playing the Pacers. Certainly there's a lot of interest and attention on the first official regular season game at Fiserv Forum, but the Brewers were in the playoffs that night as well, and they were still playing when the game ended. So the only business that was open at that point, the rest was under door screen, and we simply put that on the Brewer game, and then had the taps open for people to get beer. And after the game, the visuals and what went viral, people taking photos of, look where I'm at, and I'm drinking a beer, and I'm standing outside in Milwaukee, and posting it on their social, their Instagram and such. I think that gave us a taste of Milwaukee was really yearning for this kind of gathering place, a place to gather outside, a place in downtown where they could go and enjoy each other, celebrate sports, celebrate Milwaukee. And when we all looked around, and that was just an organic thing that happened. We didn't post it, we didn't encourage people, and really had things take off. So this is an overhead view of the district with Fiserv Forum right in the center, and this is our very creative way of how we labeled the blocks: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you'll see that it works its way around to the south, and then to the east, and then to the north, and then to the west. And the blocks to the south, blocks 2 and 3, are the Bradley Center former site, and that's where I'll talk about the music venue that's going up there later this month. But then block 4 is the existing entertainment portion of the Deer District. So that's where we have our tenants. Punch Bowl Social and Good City and Mecca, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then you work your way to the north, and shows all the acreage. And then this was really aspirational. This is when we went public with the master plan for the Deer District. This is how we envision the uses. This is generally how it's playing out, but certainly there's things that change over time based on market demands. But this gave the market something to react to, and really what we wanted to do in the Deer District at that time, or what we thought made the most sense. So you'll see again blocks 2 and 3. That's the Bradley Center lot, and the color codes. The orange represents residential. The purple is hotel. The reddish color is retail space, and then the blue is office. And we really wanted a mixed use. We're focusing on density. We want this to be the place that you work, live, and play. People are living there every single day. They're eating at the restaurants. They're going to our events. You're coming there to work and enjoying the amenities of the district. So what's in the district right now? As I mentioned, our tenants are Good City, Punch Bowl Social, Drink Wisconsinably, which is really a nod to all things Wisconsin, a great retail brand, but also just a great kind of kitschy brand that caters to all things Wisconsin. Insomnia Cookies, something that has absolutely just taken off. And we're one of their best performing locations before and after games. If you ever want a cookie, go stand in that line, and you're about 30, 40 deep post a Bucks game. The Beer Garden, as I mentioned, really the first business to open, but all that really is a giant screen with seating outdoors. Fat Tuesdays, which serves frozen drinks. The Mecca, our sports bar and grill that we own and operate. The Trade Hotel, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second. Gather is our event space that's above Good City that can seat about 300 people and is doing tremendously well for weddings and private events. And then our partnership with Live Nation and Frank Productions on music venues. And then the other thing that's really been key to the Deer District is, what are we doing outside of events that are tied in with what's going on in Fiserv Forum? So while we get tons of people going into the district for tonight, for instance, for our Bucks game, what are we doing 365 days a year to make this a destination for people that we're not just relying on programming within Fiserv Forum? And we've had the summer of 2019 was really our best summer since then. Obviously, the pandemic significantly impacted this. And the next full summer, I think we're really going to have a great opportunity to program and activate will be this summer. So the summer of 23. But we do fitness out there, Bloody Mary festivals. We host the Milwaukee Marathon, Chris Kindle Market, and we have a whole group and department. And now we just opened up a Deer District bid that'll help program and activate the district and really look to do things for everyone. So we're going to be focusing a lot on family entertainment, a lot for senior entertainment, just a little bit of everything, that it's not just known as a sports destination. So our hotel, I mentioned that the Trade Hotel, which is a Marriott Autograph Collection hotel, is going to be opening in May of 23. So just a couple months. You'll see it under construction. It's been under construction for just over a year now. It's going to be hopefully the best hotel in Milwaukee from the day that it opens. 207 rooms, a couple different restaurants, a rooftop bar and restaurant that'll be as good as anything in Milwaukee. And then you see some of the renderings there. And the one in the middle and in the bottom is a great rendering of the lobby. You're going to have a wow moment as soon as you check in, with a visual of the Hone Bridge actually match the exact paint color of the Hone Bridge, and the staircase is going to be reminiscent of the Hone Bridge, and something that you walk in and you're going to know that you're in Milwaukee. And the trade theme is all really about a nod and a salute to the tradespeople of Milwaukee who have helped build the city. And then you see a rendering of a room in the top right, and the bottom right is one of the coolest areas of the whole hotel, the presidential suite. So the presidential suite is going to be 2 stories with its own elevator. That's going to be tremendously attractive for coaches, premier players, for talent that's performing at Fiserv Forum. Anything and everything you can do to distinguish yourself, not only for Marquette visiting teams, NBA visiting teams, but also for talent and why they need to stay here, but why they need to come to Milwaukee in the first place. And the last thing I'll mention about this project is on the 4th floor, it's really what they're referring to as the NBA floor. So we have higher ceilings, wider corridors, bigger beds, higher shower heads, higher counters for the players. And that's something that's really unique and going to set us apart from other visiting markets. We think it'll be a no-brainer for all the visiting teams to want to stay at Fiserv Forum. Certainly proximity couldn't get any better. And then to be able to have just those small nods. We connected them with our basketball operations staff. What do they look for in visiting hotels? And then we connected them with bookers who book there's one person who books half the NBA around the league, and what does he look for when he's booking visiting team hotels? So, and some of the smallest things make a difference: proximity of meeting rooms, the number of suites you have, and then just those things with the shower heads and the beds and the doorways. Really pretty cool, and a lot of fun to be part of that. And then the next big, I think, shoot a drop or construction project to happen is the music venues that are going on the Bradley Center, to just the south of Fiserv Forum. So there's a lot in the media about this. We recently got approved probably 2 months ago now by the Common Council. And we couldn't be more excited about what this is going to bring to the district, but then also just Milwaukee as a whole. There's going to be a 4,000 person general admission venue and an 800 person general admission venue that'll have suites, premium seating, something totally different that Milwaukee currently doesn't offer. And it's going to be bringing in talent, therefore, that doesn't currently come to Milwaukee. So a lot of incremental shows will be coming in. The economic impact to the surrounding area will be $15 million. They're going to program about 125 days a year. So 100 plus days or events a year at Fiserv Forum, 125 events at these venues. That's just going to spur density, economic activity, and that's great for all of our tenants, for the district, and for all the surrounding businesses. And that's going to be breaking ground later this month. So that's something I'm tremendously excited about, and really going to be a game changer for all the businesses and for the district. And there's just a great view of taking back to where I started at winning the championship. We never get sick of looking at that. And then really what's next? We're about a $275 million business right now. Peter's put the challenge on us. How do we get to $400 million? I talk about saying ridiculous high standard. I don't know that that's ridiculous, but if you don't think you can get there, if you're not planning for it, you don't have a way to get there. And that's something that we're looking to do. And really, how do I double our retail business? How do we outsource a lot of the things that we do really well internally to now have other people utilize us for their businesses? looking to leverage this really moment in time and this brand. We're a championship organization. We're one of the premier teams in the NBA where we were dead last just 7, 8 years ago. How do we take this moment in time and really leverage it for now, but then also for the future? Because you don't want necessarily the popularity of your team to always be just completely contingent on team performance, the thing that a lot of us in our day-to-day jobs can't control. But with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Is there time for questions? Okay, great. Yes. Oh, sure. Sorry.
Here's a question. When he spoke in the Appleton area, Mr. Lazary said that he wanted to turn the Bucks into the world's basketball team, but also the Fiserv Forum into a destination like Lambeau. Do you have any thoughts of any kind of synergy between Lambeau as a destination and an icon, and Fiserv as a destination and an icon?
Yes, I was actually at Lambeau Field just a couple of days ago. Took my family there to Titletown, and I worked on Lodge Kohler, so I was very involved and aware of what was going on at Titletown. I think there's some significant similarities, meaning they're looking to create density. They have office space, residential, hotel, retail. So they have a mixed use development. They don't have near the events that we do, obviously, with only 10 home Packer games. I think they've done a great job of building it into a neighborhood and a destination and tremendous programming year round. Now, everything that works in the suburbs isn't necessarily going to work in an urban environment. They have green space. They have a giant football field. They have a swing set, a giant, those sorts of things wouldn't necessarily make sense where we're at. But I look at their programming every single day to see what we can do and quite frankly, steal from them. And they do the same. They come down. There's a gentleman by the name of Charlie Miller-Wise, who's a kind of a counterpart of mine, and we share best practices all the time. So I'd say they're ahead of us on the office space. The Milwaukee office market is really tough right now, and for us to justify building a new office building without having an anchor tenant that'll take 100,000 square feet and really spur the project, that I think is a challenge. They're ahead of us there. Our residential, I think you're going to see some news in the next couple months there. But that's a long way of saying there's a lot of synergies there. There's some things they can do that we can't, and there's some things that we can do that they can't. With like our watch parties and things like that we have downtown, that's just something that they haven't had success with. But they have a ton of success of having people come down and play chess and ping pong and just hang out in a parkish setting for the day, where we have 70,000 square feet of concrete in front of Fiserv Forum, and it's not as inviting as that suburban area. So it's a great comparable for a lot of things, and some things it's a great way to just remind yourselves how different you are. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for a marvelous presentation. You put that together very well, so thank you. And do give my regards to Peter Fagan. I remember when he first came, I gave him a tour of Milwaukee, and especially to Wendell being a part of your team now. It's a great addition. My name is Jim Milner, and what I'm really thinking about when I first saw this project come to Milwaukee, this was an impact project, and it was to have impact on the various communities, especially the African American community. I just want you to talk a little bit about some of the marvelous things that this is really doing to have impact on the various aspects of the community.
Yeah, I think it's been one thing that has been certainly instilled with me from day one is we're a very extremely supportive of a union organization, and something for all of our construction projects we've used union labor. We've met and exceeded all minority standards for these construction projects. One of the best things about the Live Nation or Frank Productions project is Myron is the general contractor, but their sub is a company by JCP Construction, which is a minority-owned construction firm here in Milwaukee, and this is going to be the biggest project they've ever done. And when you see the excitement and the thrill of them getting to participate and them getting to help lead in a project of this size and really help I think catapult them into bigger and better things. That's something that we take extremely seriously. And I think the Bucks have done a great job of leading social change. It's not always incumbent on a sports organization unless they make it important to our core standards, and that's something from day one. The Bucks, I think we've led in social change during the George Floyd time, during the pandemic, and something that Peter, from the top down, from our ownership, has made extremely important. Yes.
Hi, my name is Millie, and I'm with Employ Milwaukee, and we appreciate the wonderful partnership we have with your organization as well. My question is regarding the trade hotel. So, will there be what would be the capacity if there is capacity for having meetings, conferences, convenings, that kind of thing? What would be the capacity?
Good question. So, 207 rooms total, about 8,000 square feet of meeting space. So there'll be a ballroom, a giant ballroom that can host significant large weddings, but then also can be broken up into smaller rooms. And also on the second floor, they're going to have, if you're familiar with the St. Kate Hotel, and they have a bar called Bubbly. They're going to have a bar that's called Solomon's. That's on the second floor. That's kind of only open on the weekends, can also be rented out for private parties and private receptions. So they've taken, I think, that idea and grown it a little bit. So there it's going to be, we're going to have so much meeting space now in the Deer District between Gather, the Trade Hotel, and then just Fiserv Forum itself, and not to mention the other businesses there that will rent out their spaces. So a tremendous opportunity for conventions and to spur off of the expansion of the convention center, definitely. Yes.
Oh, excellent. And I'm so proud that you guys are here and you've delivered more than everything you've promised. I have somewhat of a basketball question. I am fascinated that your team and the members, your basketball players, seem to reflect the values you put up there. And you look around the NBA, and often we see horrible chaos in other teams around players. How is it that you have and you can sustain that culture within your basketball players and the team and perform at the highest level you are performing at?
Well, I think, if you hear John Horst or Coach Bud speak, I know from their perspective, not only the talent on the court, but the person off the court is just as important, and they really look to find that right mix. People who give back to the community, who have high integrity, and I think one of the greatest examples of that definitely is Drew Holiday. The Drew Holiday, I wouldn't say sacrifice the future, but we put all our cards into the middle of the table and went all in on Drew Holiday. And you don't do that if you don't know you've got a high integrity person, one of the most charitable people in the entire NBA. And the money that he has given back is just absolutely phenomenal. So, we've been fortunate to find just the perfect balance of tremendous talent on the court, but not have to sacrifice personalities or integrity off the court as well. And that really all goes to Coach Bud and to John. Yes.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for coming. I was thinking that close. Okay, sorry. I was thinking, has there been any thought to constructing some worker housing to ensure that you have the highest quality workers? I'm thinking back to even Kohler that in the old days.
We have explored workforce housing, and one of the blocks that I didn't spend a lot of time on, but the block just north of Carson's, which we refer to as Block 5, has always been slated for residential. And we did have a deal in place, and then with the recent cost rise with interest rates and inflation, made the project not viable, at least at this time. But that's something that we're definitely evaluating, and I think we may have a partner coming up here in the next couple months, and there could be a tie in there. But yes, we want again Milwaukee and the Deer District to be a place for everyone, and part of that I think is always considering workforce housing.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and we're so very thrilled with the whole Bucks organization in town. Can you speak a little bit about community partnerships You mentioned what you're doing or your partnership, I guess, with the Packers, but I'm curious about what you're doing here in Milwaukee with Freighter, with any other organizations in town.
Sure. So, when I talked about where we are revenue-wise, one of the areas that we do just a tremendous job and have grown 2-3x, probably even more since the team was taken over, is in our sponsorship. And part of that is because we have a great sponsorship team and they're exceedingly creative. But I think part of it is also finding the right sponsors that really want to make an impact in the community. And if you look across our roster of sponsors, and Freighter's a tremendous example. They're so ingrained in the community in giving back that there's always a charitable component to them. While we're all in this for business and we need to market our brands and ultimately raise more revenue, all of our partners also have a tremendous charitable component to everything they do. And then they work with our foundation. Our Milwaukee Bucks Foundation also, was founded since the team, or has grown since the team was purchased. So a lot of times when we look for our local community partners and our sponsors, those are put together and part of the deal. And then really that seems to be almost a non-negotiable, because we don't just take anybody, which maybe 10, 15 years ago, the Bucks would have taken anybody who had one. We actually turn sponsors down if we just don't think it's the right fit for us in the organization. Yes.
Thanks so much for being here today, and thank you to your organization for partnering with Milwaukee County Parks.
Oh, sure.
That partnership has had a big impact. But I wanted to ask if a similar development around AmFam Field would be viable. Would it be would it directly compete with the Deer District? And is that just a crazy pipe dream that that some urban planners have kicked around?
It's a good question. I'm sure. We're all competing for the entertainment dollar, so I guess at some level it'd be competition. But we're in competition with anybody who sells a ticket, with anyone who's purchasing, who wants to buy a pair of pants or a T-shirt or go out to eat. So we just try to do the best we possibly can, and certainly to some degree, I think it would be competitive. As far as their development, I've heard rumblings and interest. I'm not sure on the funding or the mechanics. The location's a little bit different. It's a little bit more on the outskirts of Milwaukee. It's not kind of right in the center hub. And but I think competition is good for everyone. We've talked about the music venues. Our message was, not only do we support all the existing music venues in Milwaukee and want them to thrive, we think our music venues are going to be additive, and we encourage the Iron District development that's looking to get going. That's part of Milwaukee that's going to have a music venue and a soccer team and those sorts of things. And we just want to make Milwaukee an incredible destination. With that doesn't mean that it's all about us. We have to encourage development as a whole, not just our own development. Yes.
Michael, no need to be nervous, but it's good to see a fellow Kohler High School alumni grow up and do good and represent yourself and our community in a really great way. For all of us that grew up there, we know how special it is. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is Michael standing up in front of the four-way test. My nephew happens to be the godfather for one of Michael's children. So I've had the pleasure of kind of vicariously following Michael through my family and watching him excel in his career and know that it was not just Michael being in the right place at the right time. Michael is a first-class person and, above all things, a really hard worker. So, Michael, congratulations. Thank you for being here today. And little Michael's all grown up.
Yeah.
So, very proud of you.
That's true. His nephew was best man at my wedding and godfather to one of my kids. So yeah, right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.